All right, so welcome back to the Ascended Podcast, everybody. Wherever you're watching this, whether it's live or in the recorded session, we are on YouTube, we're on Facebook. We're not on Rumble right now just because of our streaming software. I know we restarted everything up last week, I believe. But stay with us as we figure some things out. And hopefully, it is raining right now. The podcast doesn't cut out on us or shut down or anything like that. And we can have a nice conversation because tonight's going to be a pretty awesome topic. How's your week been, Anthony? How was the fourth?
Man, week's been great. Did what everybody else in the United States probably did. Watched some fireworks, ate some good food, hung out with some fun people, and so can't ask for more than that. I had a great weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, everybody was safe. I was in Las Vegas, so crazy time there, just a lot of people. I've never been in like human traffic before, but that was like the foot traffic in on the strip was insane. I could barely get around, and probably wouldn't do it again just because I'm not that big of a fan of having that many people um, rubbing bodies all the time, trying to get place to place.
Yeah,
But it's like being in New York. I don't think I could do that either, but
yeah.
it was a
My
good
wife keeps asking
experience.
me to go there, but I'm like, for the same reason, I can't do it.
And it's expensive. You guys know the deal. It's a place to visit. It's not a place I would necessarily settle down or anything. I don't know if there's too many people that would like look forward to settling down in Las Vegas. New York's kind of different, but yeah, it was a good time. And I didn't actually see any fireworks because I was in a casino. So like, obviously you can't really see the sky or the time of day or anything. So it was really hard to actually catch the show there. Did you get to see anything?
Yeah, they were lighting fireworks where I was at, so that was a good time.
Yeah, this was probably somebody in the U.S.'s last week that they've had a full 10 fingers. So it always it's always a dangerous game when you're playing with stuff. We're by Texas here, so I know Texas has like illegal in other state like laws on like limits on what you can have in fireworks. So it's basically like explosives at that point. So
Yeah.
crazy stuff, but. All right, let's get into it tonight. Quick context if you guys are new here, right? I'm Caleb Schulke, the host of Ascended Podcast,
Yeah, I'm Anthony Parra, co-host, COO, all that good stuff.
and not only do we run the podcast here, we also run Altura Society, which is our free community basically for people that are building platforms, building businesses, doing stuff, especially nowadays through vibe coding. Using Claude Code, using lovable AI products to help you start a business, launch an app, anything to make money online, this is your spot to come to.
Yeah, and specifically tonight's topic's probably going to hit close to home for the specific group of you that Caleb just mentioned. Any of you guys vibe coding, trying to build something for yourself to kind of sustain any visions you have for your future based on what your, an idea you had to turn into a business, particularly online, but in any fashion, right? Um, the thing we're going to be talking tonight pertains to that, right? So maybe you've built something, it's real, it works, something you might be pretty proud of, actually, that you tell your family about, your friends. But right now it has zero users. Essentially, that dilemma and what our experience has been going through that ourselves is what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, and right, that specific moment, right, where most people get to, right? It's fun to build something. It's fun to come across a YouTube video reel where you find this idea, right? I remember it being drop shipping back in the day in high school, like start a Shopify store, make some money online. Vibe coding, right? You guys are all running into the same issue now. Really, just anybody starting a business because of how scarce attention is. And you've shipped a product, you maybe set up a TikTok shop, a YouTube channel, right? Whatever it is, and you're refreshing the analytics page after posting a video and you see like maybe what 30 to 100 views, and other than that pretty much nothing.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. It's a gap nobody really talks about. Everybody's focused right now and what's popular is about developing, pushing, making something, put it out in the market, right? Um, Everybody's kind of obsessed with building something fast, but nobody's really talking about like how do you get the thing you've built once you've built it in front of people so they can actually be useful in the way that you intended it to be.
Right. And so tonight, guys, we're getting into that problem. If you guys decide to stay around, if you want to subscribe to the channel, to the podcast, if you're on Spotify, YouTube, just actually on Altura watching this is what we're going to be trying to get through in the next few podcasts that we do, right? The three mistakes in this case we're going to talk about that we see vibe coders make when they're trying to market and distribute a product. But then as we go into following episodes, we're going to get more into like specific types of problems you see when you're trying to get your first couple of users, your first paid customer, whatever that is, and then how people come across that and solve it in different ways. Because that's like our specialty, right? We have our marketplace, we have our networking tools. We get you connected to the people or the resources that get your stuff out there, right? And actually what is going to work for you.
Yeah. So pretty much by the end of this, the goal on our end, as the host for you guys, is to know exactly where to go to fix this problem for free. That's the big part of this. So we're pretty excited to present it. I say we just get right into it.
Yeah, so before we do that, we need to kind of set the stage. I never just like jumping into anything directly. So let's do that here, right? Vibe coding has exploded. We talked about that last episode. I'm not going to go back through the whole history. Like talk about Andre Carpathy or anything like that. But just watch it yourself, right? Watch the clips on the podcast. And I will say, if you are familiar, right, with basically using AI to code to make a business, more people than ever are building like real working software without really what? I mean,
Yeah, I
without.
mean, I think it's like without even really knowing how to code, people aren't really. It's not really necessary to have a degree in programming per se anymore, and it's not even really like we're guessing that. It's kind of it's measurable, right? Something like 9 in 10 developers anymore are using AI coding tools daily at this point. That's how a huge chunk of people are building now. So pretty much well over half of people developing websites aren't traditional developers at all. People that don't know Python, they don't know R, whatever that code was that we had to go through in college too. It's kind of irrelevant to this point. People are just using AI tools.
And exactly right, guys, which means that the people watching this, which is you, right? A lot of you didn't really come from that technical C++, C sharp, JavaScript coding background, right? You came from an idea, you're an entrepreneur before you're a developer, and you maybe had like a prompt window, right? That kind of started it. That's led to some sort of software that you don't even know how it got built, but here you are.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why this episode in particular matters, because I guess the way you could put it is like the barrier to building something, to developing, pretty much collapsed right in front of us pretty recently. So you can now go from an idea that you had in your brain to a working app in what, a weekend now? I mean, we've done it a couple times as we experimented, right? It doesn't take that long.
Yeah, but that's, there's a problem with that, right? Like, okay, actually, I don't even think the problem is the right word to categorize it as a whole. It's more like, the thing that didn't collapse with it is getting discovered from all this. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I might push back a little though, because it's. I don't really think it's that discovery. I don't think it's not that discovery didn't get easier. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's more that nobody's actually treating it like a skill. Like people will spend 3 weeks like on the build and then 0 minutes thinking about this product problem in particular.
Yeah, and that's fair too, right? Because it's that's probably more accurate actually, right? It's not that it's impossible, it's just that the problem itself is kind of invisible until it bites you because you're so focused on like getting into a project and not exactly what to do once you have it. I think Claude purposely kind of like pushes that, kicks the can down the road because they don't know how to solve that problem yet. They're just really good at helping you feel like you're making traction on something.
Yeah, just like most everybody's tool built today too, right? I mean that's
Yeah.
exactly the group that we're talking to tonight. Um, excuse me, builders who've done the hard part, right? You've shipped something, the thing works decently, greatly, maybe not very much, but at least it works and it's running. But the problem is they're sitting there with 0 users. Not necessarily to any fault of their own. Like the product might not be bad, but it's more just because nobody's ever heard of it. That's the problem.
Which is probably the worst spot to be in, right? Because at that point, a lot of times when you're ready to ship, you've done the hard stuff. You like came up with the idea, right, which is the first part. You've actually figured out how to build it, which is could take months or years even. And then you're to the point where you probably have invested money into doing all of that and you're stuck. And you just kind of feel like you're in the hole with nowhere to go or to crawl out of, and you're too deep to just like give up, right? So you feel like kind of a lost cause, and that's really who we're talking to tonight. Anybody that's been in that position.
Yeah, yeah, that's the gap. And quick plug, I guess, but that's kind of the whole reason Altura exists, Altura Society, right? But before we talk kind of about how that's a potential solution here, let's just talk through maybe what's going wrong first before we get into the fix, so that they can kind of get a
Yeah,
better understanding of what we're talking about.
good point. So how do we do that? I guess yeah, mistake number one, and this is like the big one. I see it constantly, guys. You treat like the marketplace selling your stuff as like the afterthought. And it's kind of like a common sense thing when you think about it. Like you need to, if you're doing business, the goal is to make money. So why wouldn't you start with making money and then work backwards and worry about the front end and all the other stuff like I mean the back end and all this stuff later, of like having like the perfect code and all this like crazy bells and whistles and stuff, instead of just getting it out. Trust me, we know what that's like too. That's what we've done too. We made that mistake.
Yeah, yeah. People put it up there just somewhere as checking off the box, I guess, for distribution. Their idea is just a name, a link, and you're done. But that kind of lacks story. It lacks positioning. It lacks context. People don't realize that your listing is basically a mini landing page. So wherever it is that you've decided you're going to put access to, the front of your page, even if it's just a website. I mean, if it doesn't tell someone in 5 seconds like what problem you solve and how you're easing a pain point of theirs, they're gone. They're gonna click off your listing.
And that's right. That alone is another skill too, because you're not just talking about product design. A lot of you guys that are Claude coding, you get really deep into like the technical stuff. You never think about like the branding, the user experience, right? So it's like, why are you trying to solve another, problem on top of what you already have too? And so it's kind of just it's kind of ironic in my opinion. I think like the reason is people write for themselves, right? Like here's what I made instead of actually wait. Like that's basically like mistake two. Well, I'm not gonna jump ahead on that either, but like,
Oh
um,
yeah, go ahead if you want. If we're gonna transition, that's fine.
okay, so like mistake two, right, is you're going quiet after you post a listing on something, right? You want to tell the world, but then when the world actually shows up, or you put it in a forum where people actually will like it, they will put a question in about an order and stuff. Like you don't have the ability to be the seller, right? And sometimes it's a little bit of a hassle, right? We've all sold something on Facebook Marketplace, right? But like that's part of the experience. You actually got to get in the weeds with human beings who will give you money. And I just kind of like I feel like too many people get so focused again on the technical side that the business becomes like not important. And that's really the money is never gonna become replaced by a couple lines of code, right? And so it's just you treat it as like this one-time thing, getting on a marketplace instead of something that you keep working. And
Yeah,
the last thing I say is like most of your business needs to be the marketplace. What you've built is great, but like Pareto rule, right? Like almost 80% of your effort should just be on getting it in front of people, and
yeah.
the 20% of people that really are affected by it, that's actually what makes the product better, because those are the people that care. Otherwise, you're trying to get feedback from people who you need to sell first.
Yeah, I liked what you said. You said something like treating distribution or the marketplace, wherever you're giving access to people, as a one-time thing instead of like a continuous effort.
Yeah.
We want to hit that home or hit that hard so it hits some people, whatever. Basically, you got to understand that visibility isn't really like a switch that you can just flip once to get people to actually hop on whatever it is you've built and see it and experience it, try it out, give you feedback. Um, I'd argue that this is probably the one that kills people the slowest, but also the quickest. I mean, in some cases, it's a big problem. Like they don't even notice it's happening, and then eventually you just kind of stop because no one is seeing what it is you've built. Right? You're not putting the effort you need to consistently get people to get on and try it. You can't just do it once.
You can't, no. And it's really like people don't think it's work, right? They think I can just post a video and blow up or XYZ, right? And everything you do is work. Everything is gonna be work to it. Posting content is a lot of fucking work. Like it's editing. Distribution is hard if you aren't, you don't like the content side of it, because that's really your only choice these days, unless you have a massive ads budget and stuff like that. So you got to pick your struggle too, and you got to be willing to get in the weeds to it. So I mean, like that's it really. Let's get into mistake three too. I would say this one's kind of sneaky with it, but using social media like in an organic way as just pure broadcasting, right? Like basically just noise, right? Where you drop the link, you maybe talk about your product a couple times, and then you disappear and you wonder why nobody cares.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big one. When I was making content too for a personal brand in fitness, I mean, I did the same thing. I would just post the link or post, I mean, even just a regular social media post to try and get views. Check back in an hour, see nothing, get discouraged, and eventually it kind of wears down on you, right? So I think that's what's happening to a lot of people too.
Yeah, it is. It's just like I'd like to say it's kind of common sense, but most people don't. Most people expect that they can just post something and then they get customers. Like if it were that easy, they would be charging you to post on social media, and I mean, they do, right? Like they are charging you to get more views, but you're not just gonna go viral from a random video, right? Especially something that looks like an ad if you have no experience in making ads. So like you need people to teach you how to do that, which you could probably guess as we go with this where to go to do that. And the builders, right, who actually win and actually make money off of these things they're building, they're not loud. Like they're not spamming content 30 times a day. You can do that, but it's just not worth the effort. They're just the ones that show up consistently. And that's what the algorithm rewards, because just like a marketing campaign, right? You have to spend probably like $50 a day on Facebook ads for 2-3 weeks before you get traction. And in the organic side, you need to be posting like every day for a month before they even figure out who to show your stuff to and who your real audience is. Because that does change over time from when you're posting maybe in high school, right?
Yeah.
And replying, engaging with people, especially on comments, and being a real presence before actually asking for anything, right? Like, are you giving value before you put your link in front of people?
Yeah. So I guess I'll kind of alley-oop you here, set you up for the rest of the episode. But so if that's the case, how do you fix maybe a weak listing or these three issues, right? And then build real organic reach to your potential users, your customer base, without turning into like a full-time marketer? Because I know that the people we're talking to right now, us included, don't necessarily have time to make this, distribution thing or marketing thing all that they can spend their time on, even though it deserves that much attention. So what do you think about that?
That's Yeah, that's basically the whole rest of this episode, and I do want to focus on that. Now that we've set up the plot here, right? But
Yeah.
before we get there, I want to hit people with a number, right? Because I think it puts context into this whole thing.
Okay.
So there's like a stat floating around the indie or independent kind of freelancer builder world, right? That's something like 9 out of 10 shipped MVPs. If you guys don't know an MVP, if you haven't gone to business school or anything like that, it's your minimum viable product. It's basically like the bare minimum to get your business out there. If you guys, like 9 out of 10 people who ship their business basically for the first time out there with enough to get in front of people, they die from what people call like user drought. And that's, you can probably guess what that means, right? It's not bad code. It's not like it doesn't work. It's actually just about nobody finding out it exists. It has nothing to do with the idea itself inherently being bad,
Yeah.
which is crazy,
Yeah.
right? 9/10 of people aren't thinking about the actual problem. So like I love just starting backwards, right? Like what is the problem that's going to sell, and then figure out how to make it a good idea later. Like that would be the perfect way, right? But like nobody, it's just crazy how lopsided it is to distribution being the
Yeah.
big thing.
Yeah, that's where everybody's running into issues. So that's again why we're talking about it, right? But so with that said, let's have you walk everyone through it, right? So in context for what our purposes are for the podcast, right? What is Altura Society for someone hearing this for the first time, hearing this issue, and then hearing this as a potential solution?
So at its core, right, Altura is kind of like a base for people. Think of it like we're in the military, right? So like think of it like kind of your like squad, right? Like it's your family for the people that are vibe coding, that are developing stuff, that are putting an app on the app store, that have any maybe a TikTok shop, like whatever you need help selling that you maybe want to kind of develop a community or like a platform around that actually has a sustainable model to it, or just figure out how to work out the kinks in what you're building, then this is your place to go, right? It's free to join, and it's built around fixing exactly those two problems that we just talked about. If you guys don't remember, they're weak visibility, not having anybody, and really no repeated way to get seen organically without spending a bunch of money. That's
Yeah,
what we're here to do.
yeah. Um, so I guess we could talk, break it up into little sections. People understand exactly how it
Okay.
aims to solve this. Let's start with the marketplace. So
Yep.
what actually makes a listing that we talk about people distributing their app, right? What makes a listing on Altura get seen instead of buried like they do everywhere else people are trying?
I would say it comes down to like treating your business presence like a landing page and not like a filing cabinet, if that makes sense. So like lead with the problem that you want to solve. Make it so obvious to people that your name becomes the problem. Like it becomes synonymous with that problem, right? It's not just a feature list, right? And the marketplace itself is built for discovery. People are actually browsing to find new tools, right? They're not scrolling past you in a random feed.
Yeah. And what about the organic side?
Yeah, just as much, right? Like that's where the app's marketing tools come in on Altura, and that's why we're different. They're built specifically to help you show up consistently and get your build in front of people organically instead of getting or guessing really and having to start from scratch with a bad video.
Yeah, and then I'll mention too the networking piece, right, of the app and the website ties both of those together. So what do you have to say about that?
Right. Like we have a lot of features. Think of like almost like a dating app like Tinder or something, right? Where you can get matchmaked with people that have similar interests. So maybe you use our platform, Altura AI, the model Nova too, that's the brain behind the platform. It's actually it's learning as an algorithm in real time what you're doing, what your business is. You can connect your business to our platform if you have a vibe coding tool. It starts learning about the problems you're facing, and then it starts recommending people into your network that LinkedIn will never do, because LinkedIn doesn't have a direct brain into your project where it can say this is the one person you need this week, right? Not like for the next 3 months. They're not going to be your mentor, maybe, probably, but this person would be good to start a conversation with because they also just ran into a similar issue. And
Yeah.
you guys would kick it off and maybe light bulb moment each other, right? So that's where to go from this, right? And you're not just kind of guessing, and you're kind of it puts you in a environment like a room, right? Like a cocktail hour, basically, with other builders who can tell you whether your listing is actually going to land with people because they've done it, right? And who becomes the first real audience for anything you post. And if you look at other platforms, Etsy doesn't do that, right? Upwork doesn't do that. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Fiverr, none of those platforms actually have people that you're not paying that are going to help you and be your friends through this process as well.
Yeah. And I'll make note of that. Caleb mentioned it earlier, right? But all of that the three features we just spoke about is completely free as it stands right now. So if you're a builder and this kind of resonates with you at all, I mean, this is a free resource for you to check out. I just want to mention that before we keep going.
100%. Yeah, free. No, there's no trial clock running out. There's no catch, right? There is an Altura Pro at a quarter of the cost of LinkedIn's, but you're also getting unlimited AI use, basically like Claude, which we actually do use that model. We also have GPT. We have Gemini Pro. Like you can use all of the AI models you want. And it comes with its own app too, so you don't even need ChatGPT or Claude. The context is just linked directly to our platform already, so it knows what's going on in the real world. And then if you have any other question about your life too, you can just use this app as your AI tool because it's powered by the same models you would just use independently. And that, you could pay for that if you want, but all of this stuff you get free access to. So if you don't like it, there's no reason to stay around. But I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna have a good time.
Yeah, and this matters a lot, just because a lot of builders are, as we know, being that in that subsect ourselves, are burnt out just by using tools that gate the actually useful stuff behind a paywall instead of kind of giving you access to what it is you were hoping to gain from the tools. You can actually make something of your time while you're using it. So that's huge for them.
Yeah, and gating is like you can tell, right, when somebody is kind of money hungry, you're gonna see a paywall every time you click on a feature, right? You just can't even explore the platform. In this case, it's kind of the other way too. We actually want you guys to get as much value as you can because, right, we make money on in some part on our marketplace too. Like we broker the transaction. We make sure that your money's secure. We host commerce between you guys and then facilitate a good arrangement and troubleshooting, right? And your money is held securely. You're not doing business on shady sites for, a $5,000 agency package you're doing for a business that you don't know where the wire transfer is and when it's going to hit. And our fee is, right, if you're a member, it's a quarter of what Upwork's fees are. So we of course want you guys to win. We want you to connect to do business with each other because that helps us grow and of course help more people get into the space too. So you can again join for free, fix your listing, start showing up organically, and get recommended. Also, our Altura AI, you have the option to have our own AI recommend you to people that could use a service like yours too, and that's gonna help you get in front of other builders doing the same thing too. That you can
Yeah.
team up with.
Yeah. So let's conceptualize all we've talked about. Let's make it concrete in the minds of these people listening, right? Let's say someone vibe coded maybe a small AI tool a few weeks ago. They made something that works. It's
Okay.
live and they've got exactly 0 users. So they're the exact demographic of builders that we've tailored this podcast to, that we've tailored our product to. Walk me through exactly what actually shifts for them using Altura.
So most people are in this situation. I would assume if you vibe coded anything, right, you have at least thought about is there a possibility I can make money off this? And
Yeah.
again, 9 out of 10 times, this is probably you then because you probably haven't. And so the first thing that changes, right, and you guys could probably agree with me, is how you think about the listing itself. So instead of like just a quick description saying, I will edit your videos for you, or I will enhance your Google SEO, right, or something like that, they're thinking about the person seeing it cold, right? So what problem does this solve for them? And more importantly, like why should I give a shit about any of this?
Yeah.
Probably in the first 5 seconds. So are you hitting them with like a punch, right? Is there a wow moment really being pitched to them there?
Yeah. What comes after that?
So then they start showing up, right, organically instead of just dropping a link once because they're getting fed to an audience that's already interested in this stuff. They're already warm and they just want to find more tools that help them. They're talking about what they're building, right, what they learned, what broke, the kind of stuff that people actually engage with, like you see on Reddit and other places.
Yeah. Um, so what about the networking piece? How does that play a factor in this scenario?
Yeah, and that's the part again that like LinkedIn has, but they don't have the other parts, right? They're not doing commerce
Yeah.
with a marketplace. It's AI, seeded and stuff. That's what makes the other two things actually work, right? It's other builders giving honest feedback on the listing. They're engaging on the post. They're becoming the first real momentum that people have such a hard time building. That takes months instead of shouting into a void.
Mm. So really, the whole thesis for the viewers watching is the visibility isn't associated with luck. It's more a handful of things done consistently to get you to that point to where people are seeing your thing, trying it out.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a formula, really, right? Like a equate, like a y equals mx plus b. Like once you solve the equation, like Grant Cardone or Jeff Bezos, right? They can get like airdropped into somewhere nobody knows their name, and they could still be a billionaire because they've understood like how the formula works. They know how to build a business. You can repeat that, right? In any industry. Once you are a billionaire, you know how to solve that problem really well. And like Elon Musk, right? Like he has solved it in many different niches or fields. So it's a clear indicator that you just got to learn it the first time. And once you're good at it, that is the best life skill college will never teach you, right? Because you wouldn't need college if you knew that formula.
Yeah.
And so that's the shift. Like nobody should, especially inside of our community, be guessing at this alone. And these podcasts, our academy, all that stuff is here to give you guys free resources and teach you exactly how this works.
Hmm. I love that. That was a great response.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a subsect of viewers too that are listening that maybe you're thinking, I don't necessarily have anything built yet. I'm interested in this. This is kind of the field I see myself pursuing. So what would you say to someone listening who's having thoughts like that, where they haven't necessarily built something, but they could see the value of what it is that we built for them, um, but don't necessarily have something to apply to it?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I there's something in the back of my mind like there's something looming out there. I'm like we forgot to talk about people who haven't done this yet, right? A lot of you are like vibe coding's cool. My friend does Claude Code, but I don't want to have to learn from him and then try to figure out how the community works and stuff. You don't. We're just going to be teaching you guys. This is the foundation that we're building that will continue to expand with our launch of the academy, with our collaboration with other creators, with the resources that we're doing inside of our platform, with Nova, Altura AI's app, and everything embedded directly into Altura Society. You guys have everything you need to know and to help you figure out how to do this from scratch. So we're not just going to leave you in the wind if you're new. We actually encourage you guys the most because you're not like going backwards to solve the distribution problem. You can walk into it with a fresh mindset and know from the start this is where we have to start with, and then we can go back and do the easy part, which is actually developing the business too. And so, 100% basically is the answer. Half the value is being around people that are doing this rather than, people earlier in the process. So you don't need a finished product either, or you don't need a product at all to benefit from the network. And usually
Yeah.
when you're new, that's when you learn the most.
Yeah, they say, right, that you're the sum of your five closest people you spend the most time with, something like that. That's kind of what we're playing on here, right? If you want to be a killer in the space, like you should probably surround yourself with people that are also trying to be a killer in the space. So yeah, that's great. I think that hits home what I was aiming to get at earlier, when I wanted to get this conceptualized for people, so they can actually imagine what it could be like for them in this situation, right? So. Um,
Yeah.
I guess what I would have to say at this point is kind of, if you've made it this far in the podcast, you're listening, you're interested at all, um, go to alturasociety.com and check it out. That's just my best advice at this point.
Yeah. I think it's a good time to kind of plug it officially. I will actually show you guys here the website. I think it's just to know where you're going essentially, but this is the marketplace itself. Where you can check out our platform. I mean, it's free. All you have to do is sign in here. You can create an account, get in the platform, and just start meeting people, right? Or you can hire somebody on our marketplace and check out different skills in there. I'll let you guys check it out on your own time. Obviously, the link's going to be attached to these videos and stuff. But the goal, right? You can see from the video in the background too. Like we are the digital nomads. We're the people that are building things around the world that are tired of being part of this system that feels like it just kind of sucks life out of you, right? Like go to school, go to college, get a job, take on a bunch of debt, work the rest of your life. There's a better formula for this, and AI has 100% shown us in the last couple of years that that's only going to grow, right? We said in the last episode, vibe coding's tripling before 2030. It's going to only massively spread. It's almost like a cancer level spread the way it's just taking over. Like it's going to be as big as I think what we said was the entire global sports industry is in today's value, which is
Yeah.
just ridiculous. So And we're solving other problems here too, right? You can go join a Facebook group or a Reddit group around this stuff, but we're hitting so many other problems here with Altura. Obviously, we're for everybody too, but like I take the male loneliness epidemic very seriously. Andrew Tate's a big figure because so many people have issues finding themselves, especially young men. And I think that if you had a few people in your space that weren't trying to sell you something, but just connect with you in a free environment where there's no like kind of like an Instagram DM, right, where it feels like somebody's trying to sell you something, you just don't know it yet. Like this is genuinely the place where you can have your guard down and without leaving your house, make the connections that will pull you, like Anthony said, into a better life because those 5 people are going to force you to be better, and that's what we're trying to do with this. And regardless of if you're here for the business stuff, the education, maybe eventually getting your business funded as we launch that later, the consulting, I hope you guys find something that you need, right? And you've already done the hard part, like you built the thing, or you at least have the idea or inspired at this point. Don't let it sit there unseen because visibility, felt like a skill that you weren't taught yet. We just
Yeah.
told you how to do that.
Yeah, I mean it's not even a skill that necessarily has to be separate. It really shouldn't be. It's just the next step for you guys. And the good news is that you don't have to figure it out alone. You can take a step as simple as going to alturasociety.com for free tonight. If you're listening to this right now, that's your best move.
And we are making that. I promise you guys, we're making this as easy as possible for you. My goal with Altura is to streamline the process because I am naturally an introvert. Like I don't like being in front of a lot of people, especially big crowds, as I just told you with Vegas. But I like problem solving and coming up with a better system of things. And I've realized that because I've sold things for so many years, Shopify, um, Fiverr, Upwork. I've had my own listings on there. Creating a listing and being a seller feels kind of like you're like basically might as well open a taco truck, right? Or something like that. Like I'm basically in just a sales job. But we're streamlining the process in a way that all these other marketplaces never could. Again, here's the platform. Like you can literally onboard yourself in 5 or 6 steps and just kind of answer a few questions about yourself. Say what level of revenue you're at. You can put that in. And then also, right, this is my demo account here. Again, you have tools like our AI directly in here, which will help analyze things in real time. And then our marketplace where people can discover you in real time, right? And this is kind of, again, our demo account. You can see what listings would look like as we start filling this up with activity. Or you go into the live chat, get to meet other people in here, and strike up conversations, go to the networking page. All of these things are here for you guys. And again, as you see here in this account, there's no paywall and there's nothing stopping you from just getting involved. And if you do that, right, you become eventually the momentum builds and you become that person that you're trying to be right now. And it just takes a little bit of it takes an hour, I would say, right, to get into this and check it out fully to realize how much value there is. So alturasociety.com, free tonight, guys. If you're listening to this right now, that's your move. And also too, that's the episode. I don't want to go too much longer. I think we kind of hit the point we were trying to hit tonight, so I'd say we end on a good note. I don't know if you feel like there's anything else left.
Yeah, no, that sounds great to me. To all you guys watching, hopefully we'll see you in the community. alturasociety.com. Once again, that's ALTURA society.com.
If you guys happen to catch any of this stuff as clips, we are clipping this, pushing it out too. So follow us on those platforms because you might not necessarily, if let's say you're in for free, right? If one of our clips, because you liked it, goes a little bit more viral, it might attract the one person that you start a business with and retire your family. Like it could be that simple, right? The network only grows because people care about it. And if you care about our community and you want to bring people in that will help you and make your life easier, then help us grow. Like it's just that simple. Because you're not just helping, like you're not personally writing me a check, right? We're not making money because you're liking a video, but you are potentially writing your own if you have the right people around you. So let's do this together, and let's show kind of the world how quickly something like this can take off. We'll be back next Monday with another episode, and as always, guys, as we say, we are rooting for you. See you inside, and have a great rest of your week.